Hello everyone, this is Sousa. Today I'll be presenting our training suggestions to develop our current staff. Part of this training is to ensure our staff acquire good communication and organization skills. It's a vital aspect of training to ensure that our staff is understanding and they're aware of everything that they need to know, and that can only be accomplished through good communication. It's also important that staff is always organized so that way they never miss or lose any important content. Good computer knowledge to work remotely is also a key aspect as we're transitioning to online platforms, and we have to make sure our staff can work remotely during this pandemic. Live classroom management and online teaching tools are key tools utilized for teaching online. Recently in a interview conducted with Dr. Fullwood, she described classroom management as the most important skill in education. If you do not have classroom management, you cannot teach a class. Regardless of how much math or science or history you know, you must have a good sense of classroom management. It's also important to learn how to manage our online learning management system, so that way we can utilize all those tools and make sure we can be as efficient as possible. Short-term training, we can offer virtual workshops hosted by our most experienced staff, which includes our PhD instructors who have vast experience with computers and how to implement online lessons. It's also important to record all virtual workshops and provide a link to staff, so just in case they miss training or if they need to revisit the video and take notes, they will have everything recorded for them. It's also important to utilize our current platform and our current staff so we can minimize costs. That way, we're not going to have any additional costs acquiring new software or additional staff. When it comes to long-term training, we can offer free classes through Coursera, which is a partner organization, and we can also utilize our current instructors to teach classes to improve our employees' knowledge, but that would be a long term. So for the short term, we would just provide quick workshops where instructors and administrators have all the essential tools that they need currently. When it comes to mandatory training, it's very important that we require all teachers and administrators to attend our workshops and train about protecting students' data. I cannot express how important that is. Implementing student privacy data as part of the teacher and administrator job evaluation should also be a component that should be added, and we have to ensure that we are providing a safe learning environment and all that student data is being protected. One thing we have to keep in mind that is failing to comply with FERPA guidelines will result in the loss of federal funding. And in a time like this, where our classes are being reduced, we're having way less classes now through the pandemic, we cannot afford to lose any federal funding during this time. Optional training, we can offer innovations in the learning environment, the implementation of educational games and other educational simulators to help instructors make the class more fun for students. This type of training would not be required. However, we do encourage instructors to acquire this training so that we can engage students into learning. Costs and benefits. We can reduce costs by utilizing our staff for training. So assuming we have a PhD instructor with a lot of experience and that instructor is making about, give or take, $75 per hour. If you have a class of 25 employees who is attending training, if you divide 75 by 25, each employee is costing you about $3 per hour. So that's something that will be very affordable for the organization. And by utilizing our current staff, we don't have to acquire new talent or train them to offer this specific training. Well-rounded employees will benefit from training by being able to complete tasks in a short amount of time. A good example is a training that I completed recently with one of my supervisors. I used to spend hours and hours grading all my students' work, and just recently, in the last training, I learned this new technique where we can grade all students' work under 10 minutes, and that's done by automation. So what we do is we connect our learning management system with the gradebook, and by doing this, whenever a student completes a task or a assignment, grades are submitted directly to the gradebook. So we can automate this process and we no longer need to manually input each student's grade. And I think that was very beneficial. Organizations may also benefit from employees training by giving them additional KSAs to fill all the gaps. So what will be done is organizations must identify all the gaps, all the things that they're having trouble with, and what we would do is we would offer training on those specific areas to make sure we cover all gaps. So that way our employees are well-rounded and the organization is completely ready to serve as its best. So there won't be any gaps. Training plan. So it'll be ideal if we offer a once a month paid training so we can constantly retune our employees with the latest trends, make sure they have all the KSAs needed, and that they're performing their very best. It's also important to consider their alignment with the organization's vision, mission, and culture. It would be also ideal to test employees on the subject presented to them and reward those employees attending training and who are attending training and for obtaining an A on the test. And let's go to the next slide. Training, strategic innovation. So develop strategic innovations to raise funds for our organization and minimize costs. So what we can do is work in collaboration with other key staff and other stakeholders to present projects where we can raise funds for the organization. And one of the things that we can do is partner with local business owners, and we can reutilize our training resources and also train their staff. So by doing this, we can use our current staff and fill all the gaps for all those hours where we don't have enough classes. So for example, just this year, many of our instructors are not teaching full-time because we had a significant drop on our student enrollment. So what we can do is utilize this additional time that we have available to offer training for these local business owners and their staff. In conclusion, it's important that we provide a safe learning environment for all students. We protect student personal information. We equip our staff with the latest KSAs and tools. Implement strategic innovations to raise funds for our organization and encourage students to continue their education. We have our reference here, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.